this evening. And then next slide is for those of us who don't know us, we are Magnus and Ali, and maybe I'll pass to Em to do a quick introduction of yourself, and then I can just run through who I am quickly.
Yeah, I'm Magnus, for those that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, and I'm a marketing consultant and personal brand strategist focusing on visibility, confidence, and identity as the core foundation of what we need as women to build a personal brand that actually attracts the right opportunities and generates the wealth that we are set for our goals.
And for those of you who are new to me, so I'm Ali. I like to call myself a marketing specialist with 20 plus years experience turned mindset mastery coach, because I did my NLP certification last year, and I absolutely love all this mindset things that we'll be talking through. So I, together with Em, we work with women of color in business to build, unshakable mindset and confidence in their business, amongst a lot of other things that we'll cover tonight. So the Women of Color Founders Network, just as a very brief introduction, we started as an online storytelling platform that amplified the stories and voices of women of color around the world. But since it started, the network has now, we're very happy to say, expanded beyond the storytelling platform. So we're where Black and brown women design, build, and lead the businesses that they want to run on their vision with real strategy and with a powerful community behind them. Because we all know that we all need to belong to a powerful community, and here we are building that community, and we're very happy to say that the community has grown from strength to strength because of women like you who have trusted us and believed in us and come together to share our vision and passion for what the work that we do. So from mindset mastery, personal brand, and marketing, we have everything you need to scale to a consistent six-figure income and beyond. So our promise to you tonight is to, hang on, my slides are a bit stuck. Give me one sec. Sorry, technology, gotta love it. Our promise to you tonight is that by the end of this masterclass, you learn to identify the unuseful stories that have been holding you back. So we're gonna do some powerful work there. Learn how to reframe failure and doubt, but also to do that with self-compassion, because we tend to be very harsh on ourselves and we don't want to have that today. We want to embrace everything and shift those limiting beliefs with as much compassion and love for ourselves. And before we start, we'd like to invite you to get comfortable, because it is your evening. It doesn't matter if you're in your PJs or you have a nice cup of tea next to you, just get comfortable. Get rid of any distractions, turn off your phone if possible. And if you have your workbook that you should have a link to, have that either printed out. If you're like us, we like to print things out and write take notes in pen and paper, or if not, if you've got them on your laptop, have it open as well next to you so you can follow along. But I would highly encourage you to go through the exercises again in your own time after the masterclass, because we only have 60 minutes together tonight, and 60 minutes is not quite enough to do deep reflection work. So pick along that workbook with you over over the next few days, even the weeks to come, and just go through those questions again, because as you work through them, you find that you get more reflections and insights that might come through to you. I'll also be taking screenshots and photos of the sessions, because we need to, praise the social media god. So if any of you prefer not to have your faces featured in the photos, please let me know. We can always blur that out. And the most exciting thing for me, because it's the first time I'm doing this, is I would encourage you to stay till the end if you can, because we are going to be giving out a prize, which is a 90-minute transcendence coaching session with Em and myself. So stay tuned for that. And if we've got time, we'll have a short Q&A at the end as well. And also for the prize draw, if I may ask you to put your name into the chat, because I can't see everyone's faces on the Google Meets. If you can just quickly pop your name into the chat so I know that you're here, I can put your name in the spinny wheel thing that I'm gonna have a play around with at the end. But most important, be interactive, keep an open mind, be here with an attitude of learning and also with compassion. Be kind to yourself, like I mentioned before, and also take action. Take as many notes as possible. Anything that resonates to you, write it down, because as we know, the only way to create change is to take action. And most importantly, enjoy yourselves and have fun as we go. Over to you, Em.
Thanks, Ali. Hi, everyone again. So welcome. This is the space for us. So one of the key things is we want you to know that there's no performance, there's nothing to prove, and we do not minimize ourselves or our capabilities. And this is the space where we return to ourselves. So part one of the Transcendence Masterclass is about the inner work, the mindset shifts that make bold leadership possible, particularly for women of color in business or in leadership or even career and life. And it's not by becoming someone else, but it's by becoming more of who we are, who we were meant to be at the foundation. And so in this is the first pillar in our transcendence framework, mindset mastery, because every bold vision needs an inner foundation strong enough to hold it. And today we'll be unlearning the stories that taught us to shrink. We'll reframe what failure is and our understanding of how perfectionism, while it protects us, it does limit us, and it reflects on the ways we've been taught to be grateful instead of being visionary and instead of asking for more and trying to get more. And the truth is, once we keep us, once what's kept us safe previously is now really keeping us small, and we're here to let all of that go. So this is your permission to leave behind what no longer serves you and step boldly into the version of who you know you can be, who you know you are, and that you've always been ready to take up the space you need to meet the goals you have set for yourself. Over to you. You're on mute.
You would think by now that I would know that. I'm on mute. I'm just talking and no one can hear me. Sorry. Let's start again. Okay. So I'd like to take you all through a simple and quick grounding exercise. So I would like to invite you to close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths, the deep belly breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in again. Breathe out. And as you take this last final deep breath, I would like to invite you to visualize what bold leadership looks like for you. It could be in your job or in your business. Now I'd like you to hold that vision and feeling with you during our time together. If there's a color that comes up that you can relate to what bold leadership means, I want you to hold on to that color. And now take a final deep breath. Open your eyes when you're ready and come back into the room for me. Thank you for that. I love grounding exercises because we're all so busy and chaotic during the day that it's nice in the evening to just take a couple of moments for us to do some deep breathing exercises and reflect as well. So I'm going to start now. So let's talk about something that sits right at the heart of mindset mastery. So what that means is actually unlearning the messages and the stories that we've been telling ourselves that has taught us to shrink. But if you think about it, none of us were born playing small. If you look at children, I think a while ago I shared a LinkedIn post about my daughter in year 7 who has gone on stage to receive academic achievements. And as I was observing the children, none of them were shrinking. They were also proud and so pleased to be on the stage that they were receiving their achievements and being recognized for their awards. So none of us were actually born to play small. None of us were born thinking we should be quiet, agreeable, or just to be grateful to be in a room. But the thing we have to learn is that these are all learned behaviors, right? They are survival strategies, and we didn't come up with them on their own. We were actually taught them. So where do these messages actually come from? So one thing is family. So a lot of our learned programming and beliefs come from our immediate environment, our parents, our family. You know, if you live in a nuclear family like I did, you know, a lot of the beliefs and attitudes and behaviors I've actually modeled after my grandparents. So you might have heard things like, don't make trouble, don't draw too much attention. Just be a good girl, just listen, and just do what you're told. And in society, as we're growing up, messages like strong women are aggressive, ambitious women are arrogant. So we've learned how to hide our achievements. We've learned not to tell the world about the brilliant things that we're doing in our businesses and the achievements we've made in our careers. And then in the industry as well, in the industry that we're all in, there are unspoken rules of professionalism. So that expects us to erase our accent, erase our culture, and also erase our truths in order to fit in. But the thing is, we've got to recognize is that these messages are always internalized so deeply that we even forget to question them. We go on our day-to-day just going on with these narratives that don't serve us. We call it humility when really it's hiding us from our truths. We call it professional when we're just really putting on an act. We're just performing so that we can be seen and so that we can be accepted into the wider society. And we also have to recognize that stereotype threat and internalized oppression isn't just anecdotal, it's actually backed by research. So psychologist Claude Steele's theory of stereotype threat shows that when people are aware of their stereotypes about their group, they often change their behavior to avoid confirming those stereotypes. And then for women of color, this can mean speaking more softly to avoid being labeled as angry. I know I was guilty of that. Used to be able to speak up, but then I was told, no, you're being too aggressive. No, you're being too dominant. You shouldn't be saying things like that. And this is the next point is so me. It was so me before, taking on extra work to prove gratitude. I used to be the first one into the office and the last one to leave, so I can prove to my bosses that I was worthy of a promotion. I was worthy of being seen. I was worthy of being recognized for my work and effort. And holding back ideas to avoid seeming, difficult or pushy. And what happens is that over time, this shapes how we see ourselves and limits what we allow ourselves to claim. And then there's internalized oppression. When marginalized people begin to accept, believe, and reinforce these negative stereotypes about our own group, we start to police ourselves even before anyone has to. If any of this is starting to resonate, let me know in the chat box. If you have similar experiences that you feel safe to share, because we're in a safe environment here, feel free to share in the chat as well. Would love to hear some of your personal experiences if you'd like to share. But what do these messages actually teach us? So they teach us to, number one, be grateful. You're in the room, don't ask for more. To compromise, to settle. How many times for the speakers in our group today, how many times have you been asked to just do a talk for an organization or business and be told you should be grateful for the opportunity, but we're not going to pay you for your time? How many times have we encountered that? I know at Magnus and I have certainly encountered that way too many times. And now we're putting our foot down and saying, well, if it's a paid event, you need to pay us. We're not doing things for free anymore. And what about being quiet so you don't seem aggressive, and being agreeable so you don't come across as being difficult? And lastly, don't be visionary, too decisive, or even too unapologetic, because that's going to make someone else feel very uncomfortable. But the thing we have to recognize is that these are learned behaviors that might have helped us to survive difficult situations or challenging experiences in the past, but they're going to keep holding us back. They will not allow us to lead in the way that we're meant to. Because if we keep acknowledging these survival strategies and methodologies, we're going to keep shrinking. We're never going to be able to step into our bright light, step into our power, and show the world what we're truly capable of. And call this divine timing for the ones that are spiritual and a bit woo and works with the universe. I actually read a quote on socials today that really stuck with me. The quote says, people know your worth. They just hope that you don't. So I was like, wow, that resonates exactly what we have to share in the masterclass tonight. So that really struck a chord with me. So I thought I share. And yeah, Vivian, you're grounded. Don't dream too much. Yeah, exactly right. So, unlearning these messages is not optional. It is actually leadership work. If you want to build a successful business, if you want to have a thriving career in whatever profession that you're working in the moment, to thrive, to get that promotion, to get the salary, you have to unlearn these messages. Because if you don't unlearn them, you start to limit your vision. You dull your voice. You're going to shrink your goals, telling yourself that you're not worthy of your big visions and your big goals and the dream life that you want to create for yourself and your loved ones around you. Unlearning is critical work because you're freeing yourself to take up space. And when you start to shift those unlimiting beliefs and those unuseful stories that you're telling yourself, you allow space to reinstall new programs. If you think about a computer, right? I love my analogies. So if you think about a computer, if you are installing way too many programs, way too many apps, it becomes very slow. It actually starts to degrade in performance, right? Everything starts to get slow. The memory gets to start slow. You get frustrated with it. That's how we humans are programmed as well. We are like computers. If we keep holding on to this outdated programming that doesn't fit with our visions and our goals in life anymore, it's just going to keep slowing us down. And if we're not going to upgrade our programming, we're never going to be able to step into that next bigger and better versions of ourselves that we were meant to be on this planet. So again, we were all taught from a very tender age to listen to our parents, do as we're told, otherwise we're going to be punished. Otherwise, there'll be consequences. But these are all outdated programming. We don't need that anymore. And the fact that you're here tonight and the content that we've been sharing on social about this masterclass already signals to me that all of you ladies are here tonight know that there's something more. You know that there's something more there waiting for you, something deeper, and you're ready to do the work to reinstall the new ways of thinking and doing. So we're going to do a short reflection exercise. Maybe we'll have about a minute or so. I would like to invite you to write down what belief about yourself or your leadership did you inherit that you're ready to release. So take a moment to yourself and think about something you've been told about who you should be as a leader, as a woman, and as a woman of color. Now write it down and ask, does this serve my vision or does it keep it small? So I'm going to put the timer on maybe for a minute. Again, these reflection exercises are very quick because a minute flies past so quickly. But I would really highly encourage you to take these questions down as well. They're also in your workbook, and just work on them over the next few days. Anything that comes up for you, just write it down. If there are more beliefs that start to pop up as you're working on, just write them down. Because the thing is that if we don't shine the spotlight on what's holding us back, we can't do the work to shift it and move forward. So I put the timer on for a minute so you can take that time to write down what are those beliefs that are holding you back, and does it serve your future vision? We've got another 25 seconds or so. Okay, that's the time up for that minute reflection. So Em will walk us through the next few slides.
So I've had to shift to my laptop. So it's going to look a little bit weird as I try but I think everyone can hear me. If you cannot hear me, just let me know. So one of the things that Ali and I have spoken about as we chat more about women in business and the things that changed how we view what success is and what it needs to look like. It was one of the biggest mindset blocks that hold so many brilliant women back, and that's perfectionism. It's the need, it's sneaky because it doesn't look like fear. It does look like ambition, and it looks like standards. It's excellence is my standard. But however, perfectionism at times is not about wanting to do your best. At times, it's about fearing that your best still won't be good enough. So perfectionism ends up being a survival strategy. Instead of it serving you to get to excellence, it's actually limiting you as survival strategy. And for women of color, perfectionism often starts at that stage. We learn early that we are scrutinized more. I don't know about you, but I know most people are, you're scrutinized way more than other people. Our mistakes are judged harder. The grace isn't given as freely to us as it is with others. So we adapt, we try to get it right, we over deliver, overwork, as Ali said earlier, and we hold back until it's perfect so no one can criticize us. So instead of I was chatting to a friend of mine. She runs a marketing agency company. And she was saying that when she started a business, for context, race is important in this example. She's a white woman. And she was explaining that when she started her agency, she didn't have a website, she didn't have packages. She just decided, oh, I actually want to serve people in digital marketing. And she phoned up a few people and asked for introductions. And she started working with clients without a website, without pricing packages, without being set in her business, but she just started. And it really made me reflect on how many times I've come across so many brilliant women, Black and brown women, who have these ideas that can literally shift the landscape of how things are done within our different fields, but always waiting, oh, but the website is not yet perfect. I don't have my messaging framework. My pricing is not yet where I want to be. So what that does is it then holds us back. And by the time we launch or by the time our idea comes to life, at times it's a bit late. So there's actually a psychological insight to this. And this is supported by Brené Brown's research on perfectionism. And she talks about how it's not about healthy striving, it's not a healthy strive for excellence, but it's about using accomplishment to earn approval and avoid shame. So each time you feel hesitant to be doing something, just take a step back and ask, are you trying to earn people's approval? Are you trying to avoid shame? Or are you trying to be excellent? If you're striving for excellence, keep going. But if it's about earning approval and avoiding shame, then take a step back and really self-introspect and launch the thing. So for many of us, this mindset is deeply rooted in the fear of, unfortunately, some harmful stereotypes. We're afraid to look incompetent because of assumptions about our capability. We're afraid to look aggressive because if we push back or take risks, things might not work out so well. And we're afraid to fail because we're told we only get one shot to prove ourselves. So we're so scared that if we don't prove ourselves and if we fail, who will want to work with us? The perception is going to be, oh, she's not good at what she does, so why should we work with her? And how does this show up in business leadership, in life, in leadership at work? Not launching until it's perfect. Overthinking emails, posts, and offers. So you will not appear on video on social media because you're waiting to have the perfect messaging. It's avoiding new opportunities out of fear of messing up. It's micromanaging. When you've got a team, you micromanage instead of delegating, and it's holding back your true voice. And perfectionism does not keep you safe. It keeps you small. And this is what we need to work through. So reframing failure. Leadership is not about avoiding failure. It's about learning from it. It's about moving forward with the lesson. So growth doesn't happen in comfort. I wish it did. I really wish it did, but it doesn't. And innovation doesn't happen without risk. And the idea is backed by Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset. And she found that people with a fixed mindset see failure as proof they are not good enough. But people with a growth mindset see failure as feedback. And for leaders, the question is not, how do I avoid failing? It's, how do I learn faster? And that's through experimentation, and it's through being comfortable getting it wrong. And in a growth mindset, challenges are exciting rather than threatening. Like, what an opportunity to learn something new. The moment we learn to detach ourselves from the results and detach ourselves from people's opinions and people's approval, we get excited about the things that we don't know, because it's a learning opportunity. So instead of thinking, oh, I'm going to reveal my weakness if I don't know, you will say, wow, here's an opportunity to learn. It's also emphasizing self-compassion for sustainable success, because unlearning perfectionism is not just about embracing failure or being open to learning new things. It's learning how to talk to yourself when things don't go your way. So perfectionism will say you're worthless because you've messed up. But self-compassion will say you made a mistake, but you're still worthy because you're not attached to the result of what you're working on. Dr. Christine Neff's work on self-compassion shows it reduces anxiety and burnout while boosting resilience and motivation. So with self-compassion, you give yourself the same kindness you would give to people you care about, you'd give to your friends. And self-compassion is not indulgence. It's how you keep showing up even after a setback. So these are important things. This is such an important context to have, that when you have self-compassion, it's a way of showing up and being present, even when things are not working well. So we can look at a practical reframe of this. And so when you feel perfectionism, try this. Instead of, what if I fail? Think, what can I learn from this? And for those of you that are connected, that I'm connected with on LinkedIn, I posted recently about not having imposter syndrome. If you haven't seen it, just look at it. Or if you're on TikTok, I also posted a video on imposter syndrome, that I don't have imposter syndrome, because when I'm hit with, what if I fail? Or if it's, this has to be perfect, or waiting until I'm ready, I think, what can I learn? What can this moment teach me? I will start now and get better as I go, because I am not seeking people's approval. And a lot of women sent me messages saying that's how they feel. They feel, it was mostly women of color, they feel they don't have imposter syndrome, but they have to say it so that they are acceptable. It's like a humble brag that's become quite popular. And those feelings that are natural, like feeling anxious, feeling unsure, feeling like, am I actually capable of doing this? Those are normal. They're a normal process of starting something new. It's now reframing them and thinking, what can I learn from this process that will make me better than I was last time? So if you're always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. So just a bit of a reflection prompt. So out of everything that we've been talking about, particularly around imposter syndrome, reframing things like failure, and imposter syndrome is one of Alison's favorite topics to talk about. She's done in-depth study on that, and she can talk about this the whole night. But when you're looking at things like reflecting on failure, reframing what failure is and what it isn't, and perfectionism, what are the things that resonate, or what are the things that come to mind when you think of perfectionism? Are there any particular things that you are waiting on to be perfect so that you launch the business? I see Deb said, I will start now and get better as I go, because I do not seek people's approval. I am capable. Absolutely. Absolutely. You are capable. Most of us are way more qualified than we think we are. And it's this thing of perfectionism, because there's the learned system, or the words that we grew up, as Ali shared earlier. There are certain things that we've learned over time, being told, just be grateful, sit down in the corner and be grateful, don't rock the boat. And unfortunately, what that does is you then get in this perfectionism mode because you want to keep proving yourself. And then you fail at being visible, you minimize yourself, and you don't launch things that are really ready for the market to receive. And Jessica said it can be a perfect excuse to avoid failure, being a perfectionist. Absolutely. It's actually the perfect excuse. If you think about it, it's the perfect excuse, because if you don't launch the website, or if you don't launch the business, you can't fail. You cannot go wrong because it's not there. So it's the drive, it's the courage that we are driving it today, that be courageous and be brave enough to understand that things might not work out, but what can you learn from the experience? What can you learn from it being successful? And what can you learn from it being a failure? A friend of mine once said, I don't fail. I either win or I learn. So that's another reframe as well. So when you are in business, when in business or leadership, where do you see yourself playing small because you're afraid to fail? And what would it look like to try to lead boldly? So if you think, what is the one thing that today, if I decide I am going to do it and I just do it, how will it change the trajectory of my leadership, the trajectory of my career, of my business, of the relationships that I'm in? One key example would be, there's a client, Alison, I'm telling her story on her behalf now, but there's a client Alison was working on who wanted to appear more on social media. But there was that negative voice that kept saying, oh, but are you sure? Are you sure you can speak? And each time she tried to do something, she would see other polished presenters presenting on the stuff that she's an expert in. But they had the camera, they had the background, and she wasn't confident stepping into that space. But the moment she started, even without having to put on her makeup, just talking as she is, her reach and her growth just expanded because she just started. And now as you go, because you can't learn unless you start, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is that one belief or fear you're leaving behind today? This will be good. This is actually something that we're going to be reflecting on. And so please look at failure not as the enemy, but as the curriculum of leadership. And you get to speak kindly to yourself along the way. Over
You
to
want
you.
me to time the reflection exercise, or?
Yes. So if we think about what is the one belief or fear you're leaving behind today, commit to something, just one. And what is the one bold action you're committing to taking this month? And when we say this month, it's until end of September. So you've got until end of September. What are those things that you're committing yourself to?
Yep. I'll put the minute on now. Show up on LinkedIn. Good job, Vivian. I like that. Small actionable steps. It doesn't have to be anything gigantuous. Every little step counts. Every little thing counts.
I like what Denise said as well, the fear of the unknown, making one feel like you need to prepare everything, tick all the boxes before you go. And Deb, yes, launch the website. It's
Yes,
ready.
please.
Perfectionism is- Launch the website.
Launch the website.
We want to see this website this week.
Yes, please. And this is a saying that I've coined myself. I always say perfectionism is just another form of procrastination. It's just telling us that it has to be perfect, but the perfection doesn't exist. I always tell my kids perfection doesn't exist. Just go and do the thing, do it, give it your best shot. That's the minute up.
Yes, Jessica, launch your 2 services that you've been planning for ages. Do it.
Amazing, Jess. I've seen your work. I know how powerful you are. So I want to see it in action.
And then just like closing from me, one thing that I've noticed when people step up, they start getting confidence because people will give you feedback. Some feedback might be negative, some might be positive. Learn to get what will help you grow and what will help you improve. And then the rest that is not helpful, just put it aside.
Yeah.
And then just start, because there are people that I know that are in business at the moment generating wealth, but they do not have half the intelligence and expertise that I know is sitting in this masterclass right now. So start, just start and just launch.
That's right. I love all these declarations coming through. Carolina put my workshop on the calendar, waiting to be the perfect idea. Yes, just do it. Let's get it up there. Nia Chan, fear that I need to know more to claim authority or take up space in spaces. Action, be bold to say I'm enough. Yes, stop saying yes when I want to say no. Yes, exactly. Say yes to yourself. It's all about saying yes to yourself, right? And just back to your point about that, you need to claim more authority or take up more spaces in space. Well, you already have that authority. You already have it. You have to own it. Just own it, show up. Just own it and show up. That's fantastic. I love all of these commitments coming through.
And one thing that I'll add is, as both Ali and I shared, we are marketing experts. So I've been in marketing for as long as forever. And we've worked with global brands, like we've done all the things you can think of in the marketing space. So we are experts in marketing. But I came across a marketing consultant a few weeks ago who has been watching YouTube videos and is now an expert marketing consultant and actually consulting for big organizations. And it blew my mind, because in which world is this person a marketing consultant, right? But they didn't wait. They didn't care about people judging them because they don't have a degree in marketing. They've learned the practical things they need to do in order to say, I'm a marketing consultant, this is the value that I can bring. They've learned what they need to do to develop business and to sell. They've learned through experimentation what works and what doesn't work. And they're learning and refining. And within 3 years, that business is going to look really different to what they launched a few weeks ago. If someone who's got the backing of learning on YouTube can start a marketing consultancy, what is stopping us from launching and doing what we know we've got the expertise and the authority to be doing?
Yep, that's right. Stop second guessing myself. Yeah, that's right. Just launch it. I'm hearing a lot of launching. I love it. Action. Action creates change. Corinne, I celebrate for what I think is a win, not how people define as a big yes. Absolutely. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Are we going to the next slide? Awesome.
So you don't need permission to lead. You don't need to perform to be worthy. And you don't need to code switch your way to success.
Amazing. Yeah, I think we've just covered that slide in all of the amazing commitments and breakthroughs and insights that we've already seen in such a short period of time. So, I love seeing these things coming through because it shows that it's resonating and it shows that you are tapping back into your power. I think a lot of the times we women, feel like we've got such big shoes to fill, that we underplay ourselves, we underplay what we can achieve. We don't celebrate our wins. Like Em and I always talk about this, like we always have to remind ourselves to celebrate every little win along the way, because it's about the journey, it's about the little wins. I think a lot of the times we're all so fixated on the big prize at the end that we forgot about the journey and how much we've grown and evolved, and the skills and everything we've picked up along the way to get us to that big goal, that big dream at the end of it, right? So, at the end of the day, you are leading possibility as well. If you're, building a business, you're not just leading teams, you're not just building your legacy. And if you're in a career, you're not just leading projects, you're not just creating another step in your career, you are showing what's possible to all of the women around you. Because, we look at another woman and go, well, if she's done that, that may be a possibility for me too. So it's building those bridges, it's closing those gaps, particularly for women of color like ourselves. That's why we're here. That's why we're running these masterclasses. That's why we're encouraging these deep conversations, because it's important for us to recognize ourselves and our power again, not let that be taken away so easily by others.
One important thing as well is knowing that the work that we choose to do is something that has called us to do that work. So for Deb, I know Deb is on this call. She's fashion designer. She does these incredible African outfits.
Mm.
We need to see the website, and we need to see you talking about this a lot more. And it's one of those things that, because, capable, visibility. And when we decide to, when we start reflecting and intention setting, these are critical to behavior change. And that's why I'm really loving this, like stop saying no to visibility opportunities. Everyone except you sees your successes. Start seeing the successes yourself. And instead of saying, I want to be more confident, we need to name what is the belief we're leaving behind and what concrete action do we need to take.
Mm. And I think the one question I want to dovetail on the back of what you just said, Em, is it's also ask yourself, what is the cost of you not stepping into your purpose? What is the cost of you not launching that website? What's the cost of you not showing up on social media? Whatever it is that you've put down today, your declaration, what's the cost of you not doing that? And use that as a motivational strategy as well to get you moving, get you, on your way. So that's really important too. And can everyone still hear me? Because everyone's frozen on my screen. So I just want to check if I'm still there.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Because my internet tends to act up.
As well.
Okay, good. Great. Because everyone's kind of frozen. So I'm like, am I talking to myself? No, thank you. Thank you for telling me that I'm still here. Can we go to the next slide, Em?
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, so just to wrap up as well, we know that these conversations are important, and we can see that the chat is blowing up now, but we don't want the conversations to just stop tonight, because we've only just scratched the surface, right? Because the one thing that we have to take away is, living it out consistently, unapologetically. That is the lifelong practice that we want to impart on everyone today as well. So just keep going, keep digging in, keep showing up for yourself, and then in the company of other women who see you, we have everyone sharing in this chat because we are feeling that connection with one another. We're all here to support one another. We all believe in one another. We want to support and see you through to the finish line, to the very end. So we'd love to have you in our conversation group. So scan the QR code We will take you a link to our WhatsApp group. There are already some amazing women in there from our previous community, previous workshops and masterclasses. So go in there, introduce yourselves. I know Viv has been amazing in there. She's been sharing how she's been evolving in her business, and it's so amazing to see, you know, how far you've come, Viv, since you attended our last masterclass. So go in there, connect with us, connect with other women. Community is so important when, you know, we need that support, we need that space, you know, to just champion one another. And going there, feel free to ask any questions. If you're stuck or if you're feeling like you're just having a bit of a bad day, just go in there and have a conversation. It doesn't always have to be serious business talk. We're here to support one another in all spaces of life, because at the end of the day, a lot of us, you know, we have communities here. We might not have immediate family here, so we need to lean on one another. Em knows, because I lean on her a lot. Various things, not just business, but a lot of other things as well, because, you know, we value our friendships so deeply and so much as well. But as we close, I would like to invite you to write down one final question for yourself, which is, how will you honor the boldest version of yourself this week? So hold that question close and let it guide you as we finish off this masterclass tonight. But what we want to leave behind is, you know, the reminder that because you are already enough, you don't need more qualifications. You don't need, you know, to do more pixel pushing in Canva because you feel like it's not ready, you know, because you are ready, you are powerful, and you've already made commitments to yourself. So now you just have to go and do it. Just do the thing, make it real. You know, if you don't do the thing, it's just going to live in your head. And we know what happens when things live in your head. They never exist in the real world. So write it down, make it happen. Please go into the WhatsApp group and share with us what you've done, because we would love to see, and we would like to encourage you and support you along the way as well. And the last thing as well for tonight is, this is part 1 of our masterclass. So tomorrow you get an email with a link to the workbook, just in case if any of you didn't get the time to download the link before this evening. There will be a link to the workbook again, so you can work through those questions. It's for part 1 and part 2. So for those of you who feel like you want to have a sneaky peek at part 2's questions, feel free to go for it. If you want to do some preparatory work before you join for part 2, please feel free to do that. But for part 2, we'll be talking about owning your bold vision and leading authentically, which will be a really nice lead up to what we've covered on today, where we'll show you how to build trust, how to back yourself and hold in your power. So keep an eye out for that email, but I always have to remind people to check their junk, because it might end up in there. So if you don't see it in your inbox tomorrow, check your junk email. And if it's not in there, feel free to drop me a note and I'll send that to you as well. And so we hope to see you in part 2. And now for the first draw. So I'm gonna do my spinny wheel thing. So if I can share my screen, it's kind of like Wheel of Fortune. So let me see if I can share my screen. Give me 1 second. See if fingers crossed this work.